Welcome back, crew. It's October, and that means we are diving into the monster-filled Vampire the Masquerade 5e, but not to be confused with D&D 5e tabletop RPG. And today, we're getting to my favorite part of learning any new system. We're going to go through and build a new PC utilizing the Vampire rule sets, showing you how to go throughout the whole process, what attributes to pick, and everything you need to know to bring your very own vampire to your coterie and table. So stay tuned. A quick shout out. As always, we are holding a live actual play for the Vampire the Masquerade system this Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. A bit later than we usually start. The cool thing with that is we have a guest game master for this game. It's going to be DM'd by that old DM. Check out our Die RPG. He was one of the players there, but this time he'll be in the game master's chair, and I'll be one of the players and getting my own vampire on. But as always, we're going to be putting the system through its paces, showing off its core mechanics and adventures it fits for. And for one lucky viewer, we'll be giving away a free copy of the core rulebook in PDF format. With that, this one's gonna be a little bit special because there's an amazing humble bundle going on for Vampire the Masquerade. Stay tuned, we're doing a video on that this weekend. And with that humble bundle, it has the core rulebook, Hunter the Reckoning's core rulebook, and a bunch of other stuff we'll cover during that video. And we'll be giving that away to the lucky viewer for this live actual play. So make sure you come through for that. There's a ridiculous amount of cool stuff in that Humble Bundle, a great deal. I wish I bought that instead of the core rulebook, which I bought a week before the Humble Bundle came out. But either way, great deal. And make sure to come through Monday at 8 for your chance to win. But yeah, let's dive into it. Before we get into the full kind of character build thing, I want to give a piece of advice on something the system calls out in its core rulebook quite often, but just in case you're kind of either a game master that's looking to DM for Vampire the Masquerade or player that's jumping in. This is one where session zero is crucial for so many different reasons, but for building your characters, it's almost essential in this system. Because usually you can kind of go through and either have people build their session or characters pre-session zero or post-session zero and do it in a silo kind of on their own. Vampire the Masquerade, there's a lot of conversations that need to happen between the player and the game master in fleshing out certain features, advantages, and things that they may have for their vampire, their kindred, we should say. So it's definitely one that I recommend to go through and to sit down with your game master and build out and kind of have those conversations. Either they're one-on-one with the game master, or even at everybody at the table there. And even outside of building your own PC, there's so much you have to come together even before the group starts to determine what types of things you'll be doing. Because there's two main factions, you can decide if you want to be a part of one faction or the other. Sometimes the game master will decide that for you. What city you want to be in, what type of coterie you'll be, which is always going to be determined by the party. There's a lot that goes into that. It's definitely one. The game master may have their vision, but I still recommend having that conversation before you dive into it. So, with that said, let's get into building our own guy. So, we're going to be building Vincent. One of the big pieces that the Vampire the Masquerade recommends, but I really recommend it for any RPG you're going through and building a PC for, is to go through and determine your core concept. So for Vincent, I wanted him to be a corporate raider. I've kind of got like Secession vibes in my head right now. He's going to be a charming manipulator on that side. Definitely aristocratic bearing, social climber, status obsessed. Definitely quite a bit vain and one that can potentially overestimate his own skills. I want him to have cool vampire powers that allow him to manipulate those and kind of make himself even more awe-inspiring. So I wanted him to have that. I also wanted him to have a clan that's respected and kind of a good feel along those sides. So now that we've got that determined for Vincent, we're going to go through and pick his clan and sire. Quick shout out though for Vampire the Masquerade. They've got, if you watch my channel, you know I love when they have like character creation summaries, mechanic summaries, and all those things in just 1 to 2 pages to make it easier to go through and build your PC, or even refreshers for the game master helping others. Vampire the Masquerade has two. The one that we are that goes through step by step, but we're going to flip it to the one that goes through in a little bit more depth for what each of the different abilities are. Because we're going to go through and pick our clan. So with the clan, you get a couple of big things for it. You kind of get your social standing within the masquerade, depending on how your clan is set up. You get your powers, which are called your disciplines here, and kind of what types of abilities your clan innately has, as well as your clan bait. So I wanted my guy to be aristocratic. I wanted him to have good standing within the masquerade. So I picked Ventru as our clan. So the Ventrus are kind of the blue bloods, typically the leaders of the masquerade for the Camarillas. So that's who he's going to be a part of. With that, you get three disciplines. You can choose two of them for a new character. We're going to go into that a little bit more depth, but sneak preview, we're taking Dominate and Presence as our two disciplines, even though they get Fortitude as well for one of theirs. The other thing your clan gives you is your clan name. So each of them has a unique thing. They're kind of something that can be pulled into the RP pretty significantly, with some flaw within the clan. So Ventrus can only feed off of a particular type of person. It's a very narrow category. And if they try to go outside of it, sometimes they may be able to hold it down, but other times they may puke up vials of the blood that they've consumed. So for our guy, for Vincent, he's a charming guy. He wants people to like him. He definitely kind of thinks a little bit of Kendrick vibes from Secession. So he really wants people to like him. So he can only feed off people who truly enjoy him. So that's going to kind of go into his style on that side. If he feeds off somebody else, it's going to cause him some pain. From there, so we got our clan. They also recommend picking your sire as well. That's definitely one that's kind of a good conversation between your game master. So we're not going to touch on that here. But definitely talk to your game master as you're going through and kind of build out who your sire should be. So with that, we're going to go through and pick our attributes. So attributes very similar to D&D, Pathfinder, but just kind of a different style that they've chosen. Vampire the Masquerade is a very narrative game. One thing I will say with it being a narrative game, though, you can kind of see as we go through the character creation process, there's a lot of cool mechanics, there's a lot of depth in your character, kind of bringing your character concept to the sheet. But with a being a narrative game, you'll see a lot of these kind of flow to a lot of the social skills and intelligence based skills for attributes. So you see charisma, intelligence, composure, got a few physical in there as well. But we're going to go through and show you how to build out what attributes you get. So for your PC, you are going to, I'm going to flip back to the character creation stage just to show you how that works. Uh, but you get to get a number of different attributes that's determined. So you get one stat that's going to be at level 4. For our guy, we're going to choose manipulation. So you saw before manipulation is kind of how well you can bend others to your needs. He's very cunning. He's very able to really kind of deceive and twist others to his own ends. So that's our number 4 stat. So you get one at that level. You get three attributes at level 3. We are going to do charisma, composure, and intelligence. He's quick, he's smart. He's able to keep himself cool in high pressure situations, and he just has that natural charm and charisma to bring people to him. You get four attributes at level 2. We are doing wits, resolve, strength, and dex. Wish we could have had wits a little bit higher, but he's not the most physical guy. He's definitely one that would try to use the silver tongue before getting into a all-out battle. And then to finish it off, you get one attribute at level 1, and we are going to do stamina at 1. And just we're gonna go just a little bit heavier in the mechanics build, but Vampire the Masquerade is a dice pool system. So when we roll manipulation, we're gonna roll 4 die at the very least before we get skills and other factors that may go into what we're rolling there. So we've got our attributes. From there, we get to go through and pick our skills. There's 3 different ways you can go through and pick your skills. It's what I really recommend taking a look at your character concept and then going over towards what skills they have available. And just really kind of seeing what will fit best for your PC there. So our guy, I kind of debated between it because he's definitely one that Jack of all trades wouldn't fit well with. I wanted to be very good at some of those social skills. I debated between specialist and balance, but I thought balance would go well because there's a lot of cool skills I wanted him to have, and that'll definitely probably be a lot of people's problems. So I decided, okay, we'll take the difference between the two, go balanced, so we get some cool skills on that side, and still have some variety. So with that, you're going to get 3 skills at level 3. So it's a pool system too. So if we added manipulation and persuasion, we would for a roll that would be what 7 dice altogether. 3 from persuasion, 4 from manipulation. With that too, we get to have 5 skills at level 2, 7 skills at level 1. So with this, there's a ton of skills all there that we got to select for our guy. I'm just gonna call out the threes, the ones we put threes into. So we did persuasion, we did intimidation, as well as insight from that side. So with that, we've got our skills. There's also a little bit you get extra for this. You get a free specialty into these ones that are listed. Our guy also had academics, so I put some marketing lore on that side because he's a business guy. You also get to take one more free specialty too. But let's dive into disciplines. Disciplines is kind of a cool feature here, because disciplines are your powers. These are kind of the vampiric things that set off your nature, and you get from your clan that you can do to bend others' minds or turn yourself into a bat. All the cool things that vampires can do to the lore. There should be one discipline that has the powers related to it. Our guy, we got three from our clan. We chose two. Because with this discipline, you get to pick from those clan ones you start with, and you get to put 2 points into one and 1 point into another. For our character concept, Vincent, he's definitely kind of dominating. He's definitely charming, manipulating, and trying to bend people to his will. So we're going to put our 2 points into dominate. And what that means is each point for dominate, or each point you put into a discipline, you get to first pick a power per point, and secondly, the highest level of power that you can cast within that discipline is the number of points you have in there. So for Dominate, we've got 2 points in there, so we can do up to level 2 powers. But yeah, let's take a look at the different ones we can pick for this. So we're going to go to Dominate, and you see it gives a cool background on there, but we're going to kind of skip to the levels. So with this one, I wanted to do Cloud Memory. I think this fits Vincent well. If he ever does offend someone or somebody's not really buying his silver tongue, he can kind of use that for grit and try to erase the last few moments of their mind. Also, with this, we get to level 2 powers, but if you wanted to pick, like, say, two level ones, have a level 1 and 2, you could do so as well. But just remember, you get a power per point. For our guy, we are going to do Mesmerize as the second one, which allows him to list complex commands to victims that they have to carry out immediately. But it's one of those ones that their minds are a little addled, so it can't be overly complex for them. So those are his 2 powers. He also gets 1 point into presence, but we're not going to go over that portion. It's kind of the same thing. So with presence, he would be at level 1 on that side. So he did get to pick one level 1 power they could bring to bear. So with that, we've got our powers, we've got our disciplines. Now we get to pick what type of predator we're going to be. As I mentioned, with this, you are the creatures of the nights, the monsters, those who feed upon humanity. You get to decide kind of how you're going to do that feeding. So with our guy, we've already got one thing that kind of determines how we're going to operate on that side. Because you have to feed from people who like him, who truly enjoy him. With this, I thought consensualist would fit well. So you can only feed off people that are willing to let them feed of their own free will. So with these different kind of predator types, they're going to give you different features you can add to your character as well. So he feeds off somebody that gives themselves voluntarily. One thing I'll mention, because the masquerade is keeping all the vampire stuff secret in the world. Sometimes they consider this could be a breach, but you could also kind of make it an eccentric thing. So our guy is a rich kind of socialite. So I think it's just kind of one of those eccentricities that he goes off of. So people don't know he's a vampire; they just think he's a weird, wealthy guy. With that, though, we get to add a specialty. So I took persuasion, victims. We get to add 1 point of auspice or fortitude in. We get to add a dot from humanity. We gain the secret flaw, masquerade breacher, and we get the parade exclusion, non-consenting. So we've got our guy built on the predator type. So with that, we're going to go back and take a look at advantages. So advantages are kind of cool. There's different ways you can kind of build out both your PC's attributes and abilities. I should say abilities and kind of resources, but also how they fit into the world. With advantages, there's three categories they could be in. Merits, which kind of have things that are do with like your looks or kind of status on those, both pluses and minuses. Because one thing you'll see with the different categories, the merits, backgrounds, and lore sheets, you have things that give you a bonus and things that'll give you a flaw. And with building your character, you have to have 7 points of advantages, so good things, and then 2 points of flaws. So with our guy, we're going to go through and pick out our advantages. As I said, I wanted to be wealthy. Uh, you'll see kind of here they've got some of the core background advantages you can get. All of ours are from the background side because I wanted to be wealthy. So we are putting 4 points into wealth, or sorry, 3 points into wealth, which will make us be rich. So he's got a lot of kind of cash and things he can throw around for stuff. I wanted to be influential, so we did pick uh, 3 points in there to make him entrenched. And then I wanted to give him herd, which herd are kind of vessels you have, which you have free access, so you can kind of feed off of them. And I made my guys herds his interns. He's got interns in his company that he's kind of made relationships with and feed off of, and that's kind of where he gets them from consensually. With those, though, I did pick some disadvantages as well. We need two of those, so I picked the flaw shunned. He's made a bad reputation in his brief run life with the anarchs. They are shunning him. They will actively come after him and do him harm. And I also did the folklore Bane, and he thinks he is weak to silver. Or he's weak to silver, and he has that as one of his folklore banes. So we've got our disadvantages on that side. So let's go take a look through it. We've got most of our character stuff done and designed. You see, it wasn't too crazy on that side. It was a pretty. There's a lot of cool mechanics that go into it, but it's still pretty easy. Especially have a good balance, I think, between the narrative and having more crunchy players. There's definitely kind of one stuff to keep both sides satisfied, in my opinion. The last piece here, but we're not going to be able to do that for ours because we don't have a party, is the coterie types. You'd go through to decide what type of coterie you'd want to be in and kind of how you're going to be tackling your tasks within the masquerade. Yeah, so one thing we're gonna go, I'm gonna show off the character sheet so you can kind of see how this all looks in practice. So you'll see here we got our little form fillable masquerade character sheet. We've got Vincent in there. We've got his predator type. His ambition, he wants to be leadership within the Camarilla. Desires are something you choose. So your ambition is your overall character goal. Desires you choose session to session. So one thing to keep in mind there. Generation, he's a chiller. So we didn't get into the generations too much, but you got the kind of the how old your vampire is and kind of what their generation of being a vampire is, because it has to do with things like blood potency and thin bloods and all that. Our guy's young, children. He's the youngest version of vampire. And it kind of goes through. Basically, you go through the character steps as is. If you go to the older generations, you get to have more experience, which you can use to pick different things. So if we had more experience to play with, we could go through and upgrade our disciplines, or go through and add more advantages, and so on and so on. With this, you see we've got our attributes in there, and it manipulates our core stat. You see we've got all of our different skills in here, our disciplines. You see our touchstones and convictions, and actually one of the things we didn't touch on. So with this, you have to have different touchstones and convictions. uh, Convictions are kind of just different things within your character. So he demands respect, but he also gives out respect. It's kind of a core piece of Vincent. And touchstones are kind of things that are like touchstones to your life before you became a vampire. So there could be something that kind of keeps you grounded in your humanity, I should say, more than something that kind of brings you back to your human state almost. So with his, he's got an altruistic social worker that was displaced from his actions. So he basically went through and bought out some properties and displaced families, and he found this one altruistic social worker that just still, all the terrible things even committed by him that have happened to her, she still just has this true upbeat streak and trying to do her best to help the world. So you see all of our advantages, our flaws on that side, blood potency, which we're going to cover on our mechanics video. And basically that's all things. Everything else is just kind of more on the flavor side. Sweet. So we kind of went through and built our own little vampire on that side. Got to see Vincent brought it to bear. And definitely one of I just really like how many different options you have for kind of building out your concept. One thing I would mention though is we didn't get to go into this too much. But definitely just really go through and have a conversation with your game master as you build out your PC. Because a lot of this will have impacts onto the story, and you really want to make sure they're on the same page as you and know how these things we brought to bear. But yeah, like, subscribe. Tell me what one of your favorite things about the Vampire the Masquerade system is below, or even something for character creation that we didn't get a chance to touch on. Uh, but Big Creek, we got Couple videos coming up this week. Unfortunately, work was a little bit crazy for me this month, but we are going to definitely get all of our vampire goodness in. Tomorrow, we are doing the video going over the core mechanics of the system. Sunday, we are going to go through a video showing off the cool Humble Bundle that's available right now. And then Monday, we are diving into our actual play and getting a chance to give away a free copy of the core rulebook. So make sure you come through. And then definitely let us know something cool about the system below. Till next time, folks.